Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. It's great to be with you once again. This session, we're going to talk about a period of time in which we're living right now, which is called the counting of the Omer, the period between the second night of Passover and the festival of Shavuot. Shavuot literally means weeks, but in the Torah world, Shavuot literally means 7 weeks. Shvuim is weeks. Shavuot is 7 weeks. And we count 49 days, or 7 weeks, between the second night of Passover and the holiday of Shavuot, when we received the Torah at Sinai. So if you calculate from the 15th of Nisan, when the Jewish people left Egypt, they traveled for 7 weeks, and a couple days before they settled at Mount Sinai, and there they received Torah. They also received the Ten Commandments, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the festival of Shavuot. So we count each night with a blessing. Blessed are you, Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who sanctified us with commandments and commanded us to count the Omer. What is an Omer, and why are we counting it? Well, technically, Omer is a measure. Usually it's a dry measure referring to grain or any dry item, grain, wheat, flour. So an Omer was brought, Omer of grain and Omer of an offering was brought each day to the temple, or when the Jewish people were in the land of Israel, could be brought to the Levitical city, one of the 42 Levitical cities that dotted the whole land of Israel. These offerings were brought, and each day the day was counted, and we are told no less than 3 times, and it's alluded to a 4th and a 5th, that we are to count these weeks, these days, for a complete 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot. So why do we do this? We don't know. God told us to do this. There's no rational explanation given in the Torah for why we have to count. Also, we count in an increasing number each day. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 49. It would probably be easier if we counted from 49 down to 1, and then at 0, that would be Shavuot. Probably it would be easier for us to count, but no. We grow each day. We grow, and we continue to grow until we're worthy of receiving Torah. One of the customs during this time period is each week we study one of the chapters of Pirkei Avot. So, why do we that of all books? Because it's 6 chapters. Wait, I thought there were 7 weeks. There are, because one of the laws of study is to review. So we study 6 chapters, and on the 7th week we review. And so that's where, that's where the concept or the idea of studying Pirkei Avot, Ethics of the Fathers, it comes from. Also, many of the rabbis who are quoted in Pirkei Avot lived during the 1st century, just prior to the 1st century, in 1st century Israel, during the time of Rabbi Akiva. So what's significant about this is that Rabbi Akiva had many, many thousands of students, okay? And during this period of time, there was a plague that went through many of his students. Some of these great rabbis who lived at that time, who were Rabbi Akiva's students. The reason that the plague went through these students, these righteous people, is they started to disrespect each other. And instead of arguing about Jewish law to make sure they got it right. In other words, for the sake of heaven, they started arguing for their own selfish interests and for their own glorification, not for God's glorification. And so that is the reason we're told that this plague went through. On the 33rd day of this plague, 33rd day of the counting of the Omer, all of this stopped. And so we celebrate the 33rd day. You may hear the term Lag BaOmer. In Hebrew, there are no numbers. Letters are used to represent numbers. The L sound, the Lamed in Lag BaOmer, is equal to 30, and the Gimel, the ending sound, the G sound in Lag BaOmer, is equal to 3. Lag means 33, and so the 33rd day, which will be celebrated this coming Monday night into Tuesday, always the 18th day of the Jewish month of Iyar, will be a day of great celebration. It is also the Yortzeit, the date, the anniversary of death of a great rabbi, Shimon Bar Yochai. Shimon Bar Yochai, who lived in the northern area of Israel, as a city, a little town called Meron, and he started teaching the Zohar, the book from which we get the Kabbalah, on Lag BaOmer. And he also died on Lag BaOmer. And when he was about to die, he told his students, "The date of my death will be a day of great joy, and you should celebrate." And so that is what we do. When I was younger, we used to celebrate with bows and arrows, and we would go out on picnics, and we would go out into the field. But now we use it to play games. And indeed, when I was younger in day school, whenever Lag BaOmer fell out during a school day, we would have picnics, barbecues, and the most important part of the barbecue was the fire itself. The Kabbalah, or the Zohar, is known as the fire of learning, and so we have bonfires on that day. If you go to Israel on Lag BaOmer, there are bonfires all over the country. And as one of my rabbis used to say and joke about, he said, if you have any wood that's not nailed down, don't look for it the next morning, because it'll have been gone and taken to be used in a bonfire in Israel. So it's a day of great joy, a day of great celebration, music, singing, all the restrictions that we have on the first 32 days, which are similar to laws of mourning. We don't shave, we don't cut our hair, we don't listen to dance or popular music. All of those restrictions are lifted for Lag BaOmer. And today you could go to the beaches of Israel, and there are young people who are making fires on the beach and having playing guitar and having picnics and even evening barbecues and whatever. It's really a wonderful sight. People actually go to Meron, to the grave of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and get their hair cut, and they put the hair cuttings on the gravesite. It's people now in today's world, because so many want to make that pilgrimage, they actually have security set up, and you have to register to go. But it is, again, a day of great celebration. The remaining days of the Omer, the remaining of the 49 days, again, we study, we commit ourselves and rededicate ourselves to connecting with each other and showing respect for one another, so that we will be worthy of receiving the Torah again and again and again each Shavuot. When we get, as I said, when we get to Shavuot, we're going to share a few things about of the traditions of the holiday. So I wish everyone a happy and a joyous Lag BaOmer, and we'll see you next time.